Let's begin with an invocation. Saraswati Sarasij Kesara Prabha Tapaswini Sita Kamalasana Priya Ghanastani Kamala Vilola Lochana Manaswini Bhavatu Varaprasadini Saraswati Namastubhyam वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा. Hari Om. Namaste. So, can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? Yes, please. Anybody? We can form the link and move ahead. Yes, please. Anyone?
हरिओम जी.
Hari Om ji. Namaste, Sharda ji. Namaskar. Yes, please. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw?
We studied about the uh, Vaishishta
Yes.
Dwara Rachit, what he has written in Rig Veda. It was
Ji.
95th or 95th hymn and 7 shlokas or 6.
Six
Maybe
shlokas.
6
Ji.
shlokas in her praise. And first we started that she is as strong as a metal port and flows from from floats towards
The
ocean,
mountains
from
towards the
mountains
oceans.
uninterrupted with the flow and
Yes.
nectar and support
Yes.
to whosoever comes in her way. In a way,
Ji.
it nourishes your body, your soul, and provides wisdom as well. And
Yes.
then on the reverse, she is different. Why was she different? Uh, because
Because
yeah, why
because
was
she is the Chaitanya Shakti. She's more than just a river. That was what the indication was. That is why she is so unique.
she was so unique?
And her flow is the flow of the Chaitanya. When we study the powers of the mother, when we look at Maha Saraswati, that time we can connect it to the Vedic Sukta and we will be able to see how her powers are, how they are so different and unique. Like Sri Aurobindo has called her to be the closest and the youngest of the powers, and closest to human beings, all of
Oh.
us. Yeah, so we will look at that a little bit later. So
And
that is
then
why
it
she's different. Yes, ji.
please provide me. I'm surrendering to you.
Ha.
Please surrender. We are nothing, but only you can guide us and something.
Yeah. So the aspect of surrender, surrendering, bending, worshipping, bowing, putting aside the ahankar and with vinamra bhava, when we bow, to whom? To the river or the Devi or the flow of the Chaitanya Shakti of Ma Saraswati, what will happen? It will start what we can say, like we have pranavayu sancharan inside of us. Like that, Mother Saraswati's flow will start happening through us, inside of us. That would be her blessing. And Vashishta Rishi is praying that may you grow. May you grow, meaning her consciousness may it grow in us. And what will that lead to? It will lead to our growth only. So that
Yes.
was the very beautiful last part of the Vedic Sukta. So we looked at one, I think, one more concept of surrendering to the Divine Mother, surrendering to her. And then that creates the ground is what the Vedic Sukta said. So anything else anybody would like to add to what Dr. Poonamji has shared? You are welcome. And then we'll go ahead after that. Yes. Anybody? Any other point? Rachna ji, you are muted. I can't hear you. Sorry.
My question is on that Pranvayu you were saying that she is
Yeah.
closest to human being. So that means if
Sorry,
uh,
Pranavayu is not, I mean, I didn't mean Pranavayu connected to closest to human beings. Saraswati closest to human beings.
yes, Saraswati is closest. So is that why praying to her, we invite her and she can come into our pranvayu? Is that why the prayers
No,
are
no, no. I
answered
did
so
not.
soon?
I meant. I just. No. I just called this similarity of movement of pran vayu inside of us. I just tried to like make a simile out of it with the movement of Ma Saraswati's grace inside of the individual. Ji. So Pranavayu's connection, we will have to probably, we can say we are looking at when we with Saraswati, looking at her is like looking at her as the individualized form of the same divine. Means it is like this is actually afterwards you will see there's no difference between the four powers of the mother also. They will appear one. But this is one aspect of it. Like when Saraswati's flow is there, that time it will like means when you do good lot of pranayam, what happens is you feel afresh, you feel more energetic, you feel more enthusiastic, something like that. That was the it
Okay.
was not direct link with the vayus because the four vayus inside of us also prana, pan, udana. So all the vayus also are having the role with what we can say. Probably if we want to connect it, we will connect it with the second, and we are going to look at three approaches. So when you look approach from the second one, with that approach will probably connect closer to the movement of pran. It is an interaction. But yes, Ji. So anything else anybody would like to add before we begin to move ahead? Yes, anybody? If not, we'll go ahead. So we got introduced. I think there is no one has added it. So let's continue. So we got introduced to what was this Saraswati Sukta, where Vashishta Rishi talked about, raising the consciousness and moving closer to the divine, closer to the divine. That moment is something. When we go closer to the divine, the consciousness of the divine is also what we can say entering into us. If you see in the types of muktis, there are said to be four muktis. The first of them is called the samipata. Samipata is nearness, nearness to the divine. So if we want mukti, what is the mukti we want from what mukti? We want mukti from the troubles of everyday life, isn't it? बहुत cut too much cut is happening, too much tension is there because I interact with this person. At least the first mukti we can get is getting free from that and living a happy life, not getting disturbed without by anybody else. But so the first of the muktis is when you get closer to the divine, you start become free. You start becoming free, free from what we call bandhanas. And so this first mukti is samipata, and if we are looking about approaching divine, well, we'll have to appear or we'll have to start becoming closer, closer to the divine. It has its perks. What are their perks? Let us see later on. But this is one important aspect. If anybody wants to just know the names of the four muktis, it is Samipata, Salokata, Swarupata, and Sayujyata. These are the four muktis. Uh, I think it is said even in the grace of the divine is there, all four can be achieved just like that as well. But we have to, from our point of view at least, recognize this need to approach the divine. Why? We saw in Bhagavad Gita also, isn't it? Until Krishna was approached by Arjuna for Margadarshan. His own best friend, his own teacher, his own Sarathi, who was with him all the time, all the little pranks he's played, Krishna also included him in a lot of his pranks as well. So Arjuna was so close, but his beloved Arjuna also did not receive the wisdom in spite of being so close to Krishna because he had not approached Krishna. So until we approach the divine, many times it is said, isn't it, so close to the temple yet away from God, or close by temple only, so close to the church away from God, or mosque also, wherever you want to look at. But this aspect of proximity. The mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram also has said physical proximity alone is not everything. When that great realization took place, a manifestation took place, so many people had joined for that manifestation only. But how many were conscious? Only a handful. And there was somebody in Africa who was conscious of a descent taking place somewhere at so many kilometers and thousands of kilometers away. How? How is it possible? Well, this is the awakening. This is what is important. So, without approaching, we will not receive. This is the simplest aspect. Only when you seek, you will receive. If you don't seek, you don't approach, you will not receive. Most of the time, there's a barrier which is preventing the divine. Divine is there. Divine is not bothered. The divine has, means it is not the question of how much the divine can give. There is a nice Marathi phrase, Ananta haste kamala varani. देता घेशील किती दोन करानी. Means you have two hands. The question is, how much can your two hands receive? The giver has so many hands and he has so much that can be given. It is about reception. So this is important. That is why the approaching, even the entire, core principle of this workshop also is we have to approach the divine. Nobody else can do it. We can't outsource it. Many times people say we'll give it to Guru and Guru will do that work. Guru is one who takes across. No, this is not something that can be outsourced. Physical proximity with Guru also will not give that wisdom unless you seek. And best example is the scripture Bhagavad Gita. We see Arjuna. Arjuna is continuously telling so many things in the first adhyaya to Krishna, and Krishna is not giving him the Bhagavad Gita's wisdom. The entire first adhyaya, no Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. Second adhyaya also it does not start. Only once we see Krishna speaking like a beloved, say uncle or elder, brother or friend, however you want to call it. He just says, Klaibyam Masmaga Mahapartha. Don't be important in action. Anybody will tell that to any stranger. But he doesn't start his Gita Pravachan. To start the Gita Pravachan, the conducive consciousness must be there. A consciousness worth receiving. Otherwise, I think we have spent so much time advising our friends so many things, isn't it? They come to us asking for advice, and we give advice. After 2 hours of talking, we see that person doesn't follow what you've said. Not even 2 minutes of what you have spoken for 2 hours has translated into action. He's doing exactly opposite. We get frustrated. Why? Because we have to put our consciousness in the wrong place. Energy has got wasted. So the divine is smart. Divine doesn't make the same mistake. So the approach is important. And so when Arjuna approaches Krishna, when does he approach? He approaches when he is absolutely out of ideas, he is absolutely out of his personal strength. He has tried every single thing he can do on his own limit, and then he approaches. The mother also says, the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, you do it, or you'll be forced to do it is the way of nature. So here he's been forced into a corner, and that is when he's approaching. But I don't think we all need to be forced in a corner in our lives, isn't it? To approach the divine. We don't want to do it under a compulsion. When we have that free will to approach on our own, by our own volition, by our own wish. So here Arjuna says Karpanya dosho pahata swavam, and then Krishna begins. That also he begins in a very casual manner. Prahasanniva Bharata. It doesn't look like he's going to talk some big, great, metaphysical secrets and so many things. He's just laughing and he's just going to start off in a very casual manner and slowly when Arjuna, because see, surrender is just it's like a lifelong process, as Sri Aurobindo also talks about. It's not just one. One
Yeah.
moment, I surrender. Then, acha, theek hai, I got my work done. Surrender over, bye bye. Now I don't need it. This is not a transactional thing. A lot of people do that. But surrender is something which is, it starts, you realize that your limitation is there. You realize the supremacy of the divine. And then slowly, the surrender starts becoming more refined, more pure, and you start evolving in the process. And that is how we have to approach the Divine Mother. Because if we do not, what is going to happen? We will have only, what we can say, partial surrender. And partial surrender is troublesome. Means it's like the same what we call Trishanku state, neither here nor there. So you're always going to be in a state of
You
confusion, in a
live
state of
with
panic. If somebody is adding something, is it?
uh,
No, all right.
no.
Yeah. Okay. So this aspect of surrender, this approach is something which is very important. And if you see the Divine Mother, is this concept itself. The concept of divine feminine is something which is very original to our Sanatan scriptures from the beginning, from the Vedic times. The West was in the dark age when we were worshipping the Divine Mother. They had not even understood the concept. And then very recently, in fact, even today, certain dogmatic religions do not recognize the divinity of the Mother at all. So, but what is this Divine Mother is the big question. In Sanatan Dharma scriptures, we have this Aditi, we have Diti, they're mothers of all consciousness. The Devas all originated. Or in the Sanatan scripture of the Gita, we have another name for the divine feminine. Anybody is aware of that name in the Gita? There also the mention of the divine feminine is there. Can anybody recollect the name or guess? If
Maya,
I
I think.
tell,
No?
yes, yes, Sharda Maji.
Maya.
Maya is a part of the divine
Prakriti?
feminine. Yes, Vinita ji has said perfectly. Yes, Prakriti is the divine feminine, the
Of
counterpart
the
of
Purusha.
the Purusha. Maya is a part of Prakriti. Devi Hesha Gunamair Maya Durattaya Tameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Krishna says also, unless you surrender, you will not come out of this trap of Maya also. This is the rule of Prakriti. Prakriti has put. So we see Prakriti as something like a counterpart of a divine Purusha. Now, is this a binary male female that we talk about genders? Immediately in the West, now there is a great gender revolution taking place where talking about fluidity, and then so many new genders have come into existence. 20 years down the line, we might have another 500 more genders. We do not know. But keeping all that aside, this is the divine. This is beyond what we understand, our genders. This is something that one is the creative spirit, another is the manifesting spirit or the executive spirit. Purusha, Prakriti. Shiva, Shakti. This is the duality. Shiva and Shakti, this particular duality is in the universe connected with creation and manifestation. So, how important is this need for creation is important or manifestation is important? Anybody? Which is more
Both go
important?
hand in hand.
Both go hand in hand. No, we cannot say one is inferior or the other is superior. We can one is superior, another is less. We can't make such a distinction because if there's no creative spirit, what will manifest? But if the creative spirit is so much, I have 100,000 ideas. Only I'm not able to make one also practical. What's the use
Right,
of
right.
such ideas? So it is like that, the executive spirit, and that is what is the Divine Mother. Divine Mother is the hard worker. Divine Mother is the one who is manifesting the will of the Supreme Divine. So, but is the divine and means Purusha different from Prakriti or they are one? Lion and lionesses. Lioness. Lion has to sit and yawn. Lioness has to go and hunt. Is that the combination of Purusha and Prakriti, or what is this? Anybody, if you would like to just, introspect a bit on that. Yes? Raghuvendraji, I'm unable to hear you. Probably your audio is not connected, maybe. You can just try on the bottom left corner, there's an unmute button. The audio button, you click, it turns.
Okay.
Yeah, now I
Can you
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. From a Vedantic style, I mean, a little bit which I studied, the Purusha and Shakti is like a reflective image. It is
Ah,
not a
then,
it is not a two separate identities, but they are the same, but it's a reflective image which comes out.
ji, sir.
And in the consciousness is where you can feel, they say, I mean,
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
you are there, you will feel this reflective images happening in a
Okay.
conscious state of life.
So that
So
Dvaita is not there. It is an Advaitic oneness.
you can say that.
Okay. All right, sir. Ji, sir.
From that perspective, yes, but I would.
Yes. All right. So this aspect. Yes, sir. Please go on. You were saying
And just
something.
saying the
Please.
four muktis which you were saying first, you said was nearness to divine.
Samipata.
Yeah. What is the second,
Samipata.
third in English?
Salokata. Salokata is like we can say now what happens when you become friends with somebody first. Then your conversations increase, isn't it? You become more familiar. First you go
Okay.
near somebody, then you
Uh,
become familiar, you start
familiar.
having like a communion taking place. Divine
Okay.
communion. Then
Okay.
what happens? Couples appear like twinning, no, all the time.
Okay.
I'm also wearing this t-shirt, another person wears the same t-shirt, something
Huh.
like that. This Swarupata, meaning the Bhakta, in the Bhakta, you start seeing glimpses of the
Hmm.
Aradhya only. Because the form and the Swarupa starts becoming one. There is oneness. The way a
So,
person talks, the way a person, conducts oneself, you will see in the even the outer Swarupa, the form also starts appearing.
and then
Swarupata and Sayujya is the final one where they have become one. Absolutely.
the
Now,
after familiarity, third is what? Third will be
form, similarity in appearance of both.
okay. Similarity. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In appearance. Okay.
And then the final comes the Sayujya.
Sayujya is
Sayujya is merging into one.
merging.
The merger takes place. Those who see the Dvaita feel very sad that they feel they have lost the person. But those who have transcended that Dvaita are able to see that yes, now the one is there. Like now, means when Sri Aurobindo left this mortal and a lot of tears were shed by so many who could not, come to terms with that. But those who were conscious, they experience his presence, his direct action, even in the subtle physical. Even today, people experience the
Yeah.
direct. So that is like what we can say the final type of mukti. We say sayujya, samipata, salokata, swarupata, and sayujyata. So let us continue. So this
Yeah.
aspect of yes. So now this Purusha and Prakriti, best way why I told in the beginning also is we are going to be referring to Gita many times because Gita is a manual. Sri Aurobindo also, if you want to understand his integral yoga, understand the Bhagavad Gita first. Bhagavad Gita is the manual for transforming human race, for raising the consciousness of everybody, for every reader can use it as a instrument. So that is what we will be using as reference, some verses of the Gita. Because otherwise the Gita is beautiful. It can, if one wants to study it, it can just go on and on and on, and it will be eternal. No matter how many times you study, it will appear new. That is something which people who read the Gita experience that. So let us look at this. One shloka of the Gita which will allow us to understand what is this, what we can say, dance of Shiva and Shakti, or dance of Purusha and Prakriti. How is it taking place? Because right now our aim is actually to approach. And when we approach, there are some ways of approaching, isn't it? I want to go, say, from Pondicherry to Chennai. I can go directly. I can go by maybe by train. I don't think the flight is still established, but or by cab or by bus, by route, by land route, I can go easily. But I can also go to Bangalore and from Bangalore to Chennai. That's a roundabout route, isn't it? So there are ways. If you look at the best straight route, it will say the one will say that take the shortest route. And that is what the yogis do. The yogis do, they experiment, sometimes they personally undergo a lot of what we can say tapasya, and we can say it is a toiling. Tapasya is also what? It is the heat. The tapas is generated inside of the yogi because of the sacrifices that they do. And so they identify the ways. Like that, Sri Aurobindo identified three approaches to the Divine Mother. So there are three approaches, and then there are four powers. So first we are looking at just the roots, which are the approach roots for the Divine Mother. What are the powers? Powers are those which are manifest, isn't it? What we can see or what we can understand from our perspective. So we will be looking at that. And before that, let us just try to look at a Gita reference of what is this duet of this Purusha and Prakriti. Our concern is actually with the one who does the work, isn't it? Whenever we want something to be done, we say, who does the work? Go to that person. So Purusha is absolutely beyond. We don't understand the Purusha completely, but Prakriti is working. We are all part of Prakriti. Whatever gender we may claim we are, male, female, cis, bi, trans, whatever genders we are calling, all are ultimately part of Prakriti. So this Prakriti is something which is also mentioned in the Gita. If we look at the 20th shloka of the 13th adhyay, that's an interesting adhyay which is very practical as well. That adhyay talks about the kshetra and the kshetrajna, the field and the divisions of the field. And there we see that beautiful duet of Purusha and Prakriti. And it is said, and Sri Krishna himself says that a person who understands just this duet of the Purusha and Prakriti is worthy of becoming free. Free from what? Free from all the bandhanas of life. Means how does the Purusha work? What is the Prakriti? The very existence of these two consciousnesses also, if you can even relate to, and then maybe realize you have already got the highest realization that can be got even after, yoga abhyas or Veda abhyas also. After recognizing, realizing all what you're going to get, you are going to get this only, is what Krishna says. So let us look at the 20th shloka. कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतु प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुख दुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते. So what does Sri Krishna say? He says that the domino of cause and effect is her procreation. Whose procreation? The creation of Prakriti. The domino of cause and effect is her procreation. The experiences of individual consciousness, her creation, and the one supreme being, the Purusha, does but enjoy, experiencing both pleasure and pain with joy. So Purusha is always in the laya of Ananda. I fell down on my face flat. I'm feeling bad. I'm in pain. I'm looking and crying and looking at God, shaking my fist angrily. He is in Ananda. He is not disturbed because that is his consciousness. He is in that Ananda Sagara. All experiences, it's like how we can say, uh, I think you must have studied this in physics, isn't it? The splitting of white light into the spectral colors through a prism. So it is that one white light, but that white light has split into several colors. All these colors are what? Parts of this white light. So like that, in our life also, that high consciousness, what we call Satchidananda, that is where the Purusha is, permanently in Satchidananda. So here on the earth, we have distortions of that Satchidananda. So we experience so many different consciousness. Purusha is himself, what we can say, aloof. The Purusha is what we can say in that state of bliss. So he is only going to enjoy. He is not going to be disturbed. So when somebody is not going to be disturbed or not going to respond, I think we also need not to worry too much. But who is then responding? It is Prakriti. It is Prakriti who is responding. You see, Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Richyate. She is the one. She is who? She is the executive spirit of that supreme consciousness. So this executive spirit, now if you want, you are working in an organization. You want to bring about some change. You're not happy with some of the system of the organization. Will you go to the founder who founded the organization, or you will go to the executive officer who is now given the task? Founder only has given that task, isn't it? So will you go and trouble the founder, or you will go and ask the executive spirit? Yes, anybody? What would be your approach?
You go to the executive, you will not go to the founder.
Yeah, it is natural, isn't it?
Natural.
That is exactly what we have to when we approach. Let us approach Prakriti only first, or the Divine Mother. That is what we want. Because she has created what? She has created this domino of cause and effect. So many actions. Krishna has talked about different types of karma. He's talked karma, akarma, vikarma. We do not know some karmas which we have done previously. We are bearing consequences of that, or some karmas we have done unconsciously now also, and they will give results later. So this entire cause, effect, bandhana, it is all under the domain or the dominion of Prakriti. But what is Purusha doing? Purusha is in his Ananda only. So I think we should follow what Raghunandan has also told. Let's approach the mother only. Let us approach the divine. Let us approach the Prakriti because she is executing. She is executing whose will again? She is not different. She is not different from the Purusha. Means this Dvaita is also a divide which is created inside of our minds by ignorance inside of all of us. And you know what is so special about Prakriti? She makes us all believe we are having absolutely one unique consciousness inside of us. Isn't it true? We all think we are unique. But if everybody is unique, isn't uniqueness a very common trait then? So this feeling of uniqueness also, this is, yes, Rachnaji wants to add something?
No, no.
All right, fine. Yes. So, yeah, anybody wishes to add anytime, you please feel free to unmute. So this feeling of individual consciousness, I am so and so. I when I was in school, I am a student of this school. This is my motto. Suddenly 12th got over and then now I'm no more in that school. What happened to that motto of the school? Where is it gone? What has happened? So I was identifying to that consciousness. So like that, each of us identifies to one consciousness, and this is all a part of Prakriti. Now, Sharda Maji, I think, talked about Maya. Maya is what? Maya is like a default software installed inside of us. More than the software, in that software, there are lots of bugs which are creating trouble. We are not able to understand it only what is happening, and we are trying to do something, and every time we are trying to click this button, something else, another pop-up is appearing. We're not understanding what's going on. So with tapasya, slowly, as Krishna says, Maya metam tarantite, you can penetrate the veil of Maya. And when you penetrate that, then you are available. You have to approach the divine. And when you approach, you are going to be, it's like, you see, one hand is extended. And that hand, only when it is extended, will the divine take you, isn't it? If you don't extend, you cannot. It is very simple. There was a simple story as a child I had grown up listening to about. I think it was connected maybe with the Panchatantra. It was having a nice lesson. So there was this king. He was absolutely selfish. He did not. He could not give anything. Means forget like thinking of giving somebody. He could not. It was only about take, take, take. So what happens is this king suddenly falls into a river. And because he does not know to swim well, he's beginning to drown. So everybody comes to rescue him. Maharaj, give me your hand. Maharaj, give me your hand. This king is not, he's never learned to give, and he says, no, I'll not give my hand even if it makes me drown. So the king almost lost his life. Luckily, there was one smart mantri who says, Maharaj, take my hand. Immediately, the king grabs it and comes out. So, this feeling of taking, this feeling of ahankar, this feeling of I have to get, this is something which Prakriti has created due to this game of what we call Maya. We are entrapped in it. And to rise out of it, we have to surrender, we have to bow. It becomes very difficult, isn't it? It becomes very difficult to surrender. Sometimes, this Arjuna said it so easily. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. It came out just like that. But many people go through their entire lifetimes without I will not bend. They'll give extra reasons. I have spondylitis or anything, whatever. But that's not the exact aspect. This bending is about bending with namrata towards the divine. This bending does not happen, then you will not ever received from the divine. So this approach is important, and Prakriti's get game. The game of Prakriti goes on. This domino of cause and effect. So many such saints have like through sadhana they have learned that this surrendering is important for going even beyond the mind. Beyond the mind, that is what even Vasishtha Rishi was talking about. Saraswati's flow, no, once it starts, it will take you much higher than what is the mental consciousness. But the question is, we all know the mind is important, isn't it? Some say we cannot understand the mind in this birth only. Now, what are we talking about going beyond the mind? It's like somebody who has not done undergraduation is being told about PG or is being told about PhD. How will it be possible is what the person feels. But first, is it important to go beyond the mind is my question. Is it necessary? Is it even necessary to go beyond the mind? Anybody? Yes. If yes, why? If it's no, why not? Why should we transcend the mind?
Yes, it is necessary because it it could be the next possibility.
Okay, it could be the next
It doesn't
possibility.
stop, right? It doesn't
Okay,
stop. I mean, if there was before, if there was before something before
okay,
mind, it has to be something after mind also.
okay, that is interesting. Something before, maybe there may be something higher, is what Rishma ji is indicating. All right. Yes, anybody else?
Uh, just to add on that, see, when we look at the human anatomy itself, when
Hmm.
you come from there, you see the
Yes.
body is the beginning,
Yeah.
and the sense organs, your motion organs, and then you go into the mind,
Hmm.
and the mind goes more into the intellect,
Yeah.
and then you have the ego there playing.
Okay.
So intellect is again intelligence and the intellect put together. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is very compartmentalized in our Vedanta study also, if you see it.
Okay.
So
Ji sir.
definitely, a student who wants to approach this path will have to transcend the mind at some stage to use his intellect, to use his intelligence. I mean, we use our intelligence every day. I mean,
Yeah.
what all you studied in your school, college, everything is intelligence. You got it from the
Logic, we
books.
can say, no?
No,
Logic
it's
and
not
what we
logic.
use.
No, it's
Mental.
not logic because
Okay.
logic can be very dangerous. I mean, like
But
statistics and
intelligence
logic,
cannot
they
be
can be very
dangerous.
dangerous.
What about intelligence?
Intelligence is
Can
what you get from your
intelligence,
textbooks, right? Your
but can
physics.
that be dangerous, sir? That's my
It is
question.
dangerous.
It
Like
is also
Yes,
study of
dangerous.
it
relativity,
can be.
you got where? From
Yes.
E is equal to mc square, you got it from whom? From the books. But it was
Okay.
already existing, but you got it from a book.
Okay.
But that is your intelligence. But when you transcend the intelligence into an intellect which is subtle and you
Hmm.
start studying it more, then you're
Yeah.
transcending the mind and the intelligence and you're looking at something beyond that.
Okay. So then we have to recognize, means if you see first level is the level of what we can say the logic is very low, isn't
Yes.
it? But it is still a level. At least people behave illogically also, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So those who are lost in the level of what we can say senses only, they cannot go to that level of logic also.
Right.
So, but then beyond logic is what Raghunath ji is talking about. Is talking about something called intellect or intelligence, or we can in Sanskrit there is a word buddhi, which is said to be higher than mana. And then there is something much higher than buddhi. So first thing, if we want to transcend, we must recognize no there is something beyond.
That's right.
Unless we recognize that there is something beyond, there is no chance of transcendence at all. Again, it comes back to the same thing. Means now, how do we recognize? Then we'll have to use our logic first to recognize. My logic will have to be told, ki, see, your body is limited. Limited by what? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, disease. Again, that is a limitation. So there is even forget all of this philosophically, even practically, you cannot see beyond a particular visual range. We cannot hear. Senses have a limitation. So then, okay, so this limitation can it be transcended? Of course, we have seen, we can see even the eagle has better eyesight than human beings. Dogs have better sense of smell. Somebody else, they have better sense of hearing also. So if we see there are levels of which are beyond what we understand. So this definitely we have a limitation. Our what we can say software upgrade has not taken place. It is up to this limit only as human beings we can receive. But then there is something which is higher. Then comes the buddhi. But buddhi also is a limitation sometimes. In the Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, one end is Vidya, another end is Avidya. So with Avidya, we definitely know it is a trap, so we will try to come out of it. But there are so many learned intellectuals who get trapped in the trap of intellect. That becomes a, direct ego or dire ego can be removed very easily. I can say I am the best wrestler, and then I'll go into the wrestling ring, and after one dhobi pachad, I will say ki, I have lost. I'm not a good wrestler. All right, this is dire ego. But then there is something called sukshma ahankar that even the guru finds it difficult to do a surgery and remove it. So yes, we have to recognize this that there are levels. And again, Gita tells us the same thing. Gita tells us Indriyani paranyahu indriyabhya param manah manasastu para buddhi yo buddhe paratastu saha. Saha is that means what? That is that supreme consciousness. That is that transcendental consciousness which is the highest. So when we approach the Divine Mother, the first approach is to approach the Divine Mother as the transcendental consciousness. Because if you just try to approach just by your intellect, imagine you trying to get the experiences of all the people you know, also. Forget the universe. Can you even try to understand? If you just sit in God's place and go to any one particular temple and just think you are going to listen to prayers, you will just get irritated because see, this person is praying, please give me rain, please give me rain. Next person is saying, please give me sunshine. Both are neighbors. What should the God do? Should it God give rain? Should the God give sunshine? What is the problem? And everybody is having some kind of, nobody is coming and doing namaskar. This person is saying, please give me profit in business. The other one saying, please don't give that person profit in business. Everywhere swartha only. Everybody is just running after that. And so if we try to just by mental aspect only try to connect, we will not be. That is why what Vashishta Rishi talked about, we have to rise in consciousness. So Sri Aurobindo, with his sadhana, identified three roots. One is that root of the transcendental one, the transcendental Shakti, which is the original one. I shared a quote of Sri Aurobindo, which is that a power of silence in the depths of God, she is the force, the inevitable word. So this transcendental Shakti is where this is that transcendental Shakti that is one in the state of what we can say. In that state, she has merged. She is there in that supreme bliss, which we recognize as the bliss of Sachidananda or the bliss of that supreme Purusha. It is this. It is her wish, and it is her wish that makes the manifestation possible. And she is connected with the divine. Means not a single leaf in the world can move. Means a leaf from the tree also will fall according to that wish. She is that one. And the Purusha has just planted his seed into that creation. If we just try to recognize, she's way beyond, and this is the one transcendental Shakti which we can try. If it is up to the individual, you see, the approaches are there, the routes have been shown, but nobody is forcing. This is the what we can say, uh, I would say a good thing and also bad thing of Sanatan scriptures. Good thing is we have freedom. We have freedom, but this is beautiful. That is why we are not robots or what zombie followers. Many times you have in certain cults, they have to just follow what's written. No individual freedom, no individual will. But then sometimes what happens, too much freedom is given. I just met a professor of a very famous institute, and in that institute, the children of that institute had become very famous or notorious because they said "Hame chahiye azadi" was their slogan. Now, azadi from what? Which azadi?
Yes.
Mukti, which is it? What is it they are talking? They probably wanted azadi from exams, azadi from results, azadi from appearing for getting good marks and placements. They wanted everything without doing anything, maybe. But no, this aspect of connecting, this is very important because unless one transcends, or this is actually the individual, where the individual has to take the decision. Means Krishna says in the Gita, isn't it? Yat hechhasi tatha kuru in the last. Means after the entire knowledge is given, we spent 20 minutes talking to our friend and we said, you better follow what I'm saying, otherwise I'll not spare you. I'll give you left and right. If I've invested 20 minutes in talking to you, here the boss has spoken for 18 adhyas. Several, means so many times Arjuna was like, how can I trust you? How can I believe you? What? You are born before. You thought the Surya. Come on, I celebrate your birthday. You were born in sunlight. How can I logically even understand that you were the one who thought this Surya, who thought Ikshvaku, he thought Manu. What is all of this? Rajarishis, I don't understand it. I don't trust you at all. These are all indirect. Krishna is being questioned by Arjuna, and Krishna has a divine patience, absolute patience up to 18th chapter. And in the 18th chapter, after everything, means after giving darshan, also after telling everything, what does he say? He doesn't say, I order you because I have invested so much time in you. You must do it. He says, Yathechasi tatha kuru. Meaning, Arjuna, if you want to right now cry and flee from this battle, please be my guest. He is not ordering him. And but Arjuna says, I have the freedom, and because I have the freedom, I have chosen to follow you with my free will. This is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. Means here the freedom is there, and we utilize that freedom after realizing, raising our consciousness at least that much. He says, Nashtor moha smrutir labdhva tvat prasadan mayachyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. I will now do the gold, follow the golden words that you have said because my moha is gone, my smriti has returned. Smriti is in memory. What is that memory? Everywhere we see this smriti is important. We need to remember who we are, isn't it? Many times in the most biggest panic situations, we forget who we are. We need to be reminded. Hanuman, the great one, the wisest of wise intellectuals, Manojavamma Rudatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam. Means the among the wisest, he was the wisest. But he had to be reminded, isn't it? He had to be reminded by someone. That is probably what we also, even there's a Kruto Smara, Kritam Smara mentioned in the Upanishad also. Remember the deeds, great deeds that you have done, O hero soul, remember that. What great deeds have we done? Well, we don't know. We don't know all. We have done not just this birth, also it may be referring to the ones which we have done before, and we are not aware at this moment. But we are a consciousness, we are carrying that. We are like in a relay race where we are only passing on the baton to ourselves. We're not racing with somebody else, which is happening. So this transcendental Shakti is this. So this is one approach, means connect with the mother as the transcendental. Ma Amba Lalita Devi Tvam Ananda Sagari Namastasya 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 Namo. You are that transcendental consciousness. When some people, why approaches are there? Because it is up to the individual to choose. So somebody might connect very much with this itself. This is sufficient for me, connecting with the transcendental form. Then there's another approach. That is the universal one. The universal one is the Prakriti who is active. She is that executive consciousness that is manifesting. You see, it is actually every manifestation is that active part, component of manifestation. That is the Divine Mother. It is allowing the manifestation of the will of the Purusha, the manifesting personality of what? This is the manifesting personality of the transcendent Shakti only. We just saw one, no? The supreme transcendental one. How do we understand that transcendental one? It is by then looking at her universal aspect from the cosmic point of view, how the forces of her are playing. What is her role? That is what is the second approach. Means you see, there is one Siddha Kunjaka Stotra which is about the Divine Mother, where she says like Om Kari Srushti Rupai, Hrim Kari Pratipalika, Klim Kari Kama Rupinya, Bija Rupe Namastute, meaning these mantras, they originate, that now of the mantras come and the manifestations take place. Different places. So this manifesting power is what is the universal power. And that is a second approach. Means universal power of what? Of that transcendent Shakti only. We're not trying to create divides because divide is in the mind. Human mind has nature of dividing. We suddenly say this person is like this person is like that. I like this person because this person speaks better than that person, so I like this person. And then this same person doesn't speak like, ah, see, I lost all my respect. You've said this. This is actually a divide, buddhi bheda. Krishna says avoid all of that. So this, if we try to, means when we approach now also, when we see three approaches, when we see four powers, if we try to connect all four, that would be much better than trying to compartmentalize these. But understanding them is important. They are different in outer facets, but internally they are one. That same transcendental Mahashakti can be approached in the universe Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivaji is what it is again a what we can say individual approach, which is the next approach after what we call the universal approach. So the universal approach is we'll just look at it a little bit more. That it's like for us, we are very much connected to the lower plane of consciousness, isn't it? We cannot fully understand supreme transcendental Shakti, what is happening there in that high consciousness. So much closer to us is this universal one. It is like this is operating very close in the earth, and the earth is somewhere. Earth is what? It's just one part, isn't it, of the universe. But for us, it is everything. Bhudevi, we say. So for us, when we connect with this operating principle, that is what we can call the universal Mahashakti. This universal Mahashakti is again, if we can look at in the Gita, if we just since we are looking at references, there is one more verse again in the 13th chapter. 13th chapter is considered to be most practical chapter of the Gita in among all 18 chapters because you see very interestingly how Krishna is always connected with the practicality. First, he tries to teach Arjuna certain things about high consciousness. He talks about soul and everything, and then again brings him back to logic. He says, "Acha, theek hai, don't believe in soul, don't believe in rebirth. All right, don't believe it. But still, great warriors don't cry, no? Na Shochito Maharaj, he says, big warriors have taken part in battles. They have seen death from close. They stop crying. They're not, if you are a wise intellectual, again, you cannot be emotionally disturbed if you are a wise intellectual because wise intellectuals have poise. Same way, he actually gives a darshana first and then teaches what is bhakti yoga because after darshana, many people get carried away. I got the darshana, now I am going to live to tell people that my ashirmads come to everybody. May my Ashirwad come. I have seen, I saw, I got this darshan. A lot of people, I went to a conference. Instead of presenting in the conference, the person started speaking about his darshana. It was very interesting because he said, I saw the Divine Mother with my eyes. No, what is your paper? He said, what are you all doing? You should also see like me, is what he started saying. That was very funny. And after my presentation, he came to me and I thought he's going to pat me on my back and he said, you are going in the right direction. Now you should also start seeing the mother. I was like, wow, okay, that's good. But now this aspect of practicality is so important because we are connected with the ground. And after the Darshana, Krishna teaches in what is the 13th Adhyay, how to practically live. Means it's like I, as a mechanical engineer, can see it is similar to how thermodynamic principles are there in this subject called thermodynamics. We have applied thermodynamics, system, surroundings, environment. That is how, when you understand these three, you can design any machine. Which is a source, which is a sink, how does the heat operation take place? You can quickly, if it's a, whether it's a heating engine or it's a refrigeration cycle, understanding these three basics will give you everything. Something like that, Krishna talks about Kshetra, Kshetragna, and the Vibhaga, the divisions in the field. You have to understand. And that is where we can look at also the universal principle of Mahashakti. If I just look at the shloka number 29, which says, Prakratyaiva cha karmani kriyamani sarvasha yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. It is Prakriti who alone engages and enacts. In all the world's working she acts, but the self remains inactive and silently foresees. Whoever sees this truth of the world truly sees. Yah pashyati saha pashyati. Krishna says this so many times in the Gita. Somebody was able to see what is this, what is beyond the veil, beyond what we can say the outer appearances, that person understands. And what is he talking in this sloka? He says, it is Prakriti who alone engages and enacts. In all the world's working, she acts. But how is the Supreme Self? The Supreme Self he's immortal, he's undisturbed, and inactive and silently forcing everything. Somebody who sees that can easily see. So, recognizing the cosmic functioning, many times man has, because of man's mind, man's intellect, man feels I am so great. I can do everything I want in the world. Just till some years back, we were so proud of our advancements, including our medical achievements. And suddenly, one small, what we can say, entity which people are not sure whether to permanently put it in living or non-living state because the virus is alive only in a host. Otherwise, it's no use. That so small entity suddenly brought the entire world with all its pride onto its knees because the world was too busy in not in understanding what is the basic. Right now, also we are seeing fires, Prakriti. We are seeing different aspects of the nature and cosmic forces at play, and that is the working of the divine. That is the cosmic power. But then comes from the cosmic, there is something which we call the individual, the individual Mahashakti. And this is where we enjoy very much, isn't it? We can connect. And again, in our Sanatana Dharma, we have so much freedom. We can choose our Aradhya, isn't it? We can choose the Aradhya, whom we want to worship. We have a big choice. Acha, you don't like this? All right, here, one more option, one more option. So many such options. Sometimes people get confused because of the options also. There is a phrase in Marathi, Vithala koncha jhenda gheu hati. I don't know which flag to wear. Each flag is looking different, but each flag is having some great path. So I'm confused. So this aspect of individual Mahashakti, that is something which is closest. Sri Aurobindo has talked about it as the aspect of the mother. That is a mediating between what? Between the supramental light, the truth life, and truth creation. If you just look at these words itself, you see that there
Could you
is,
say that again, please?
yes, it is between the supramental light. This aspect of the mother is mediating. She is like, working an intermediary between this, between the highest supramental light, the truth life, and the truth creation. You see, concealment of truth is only what is taking place everywhere, isn't it? In the Rig Veda, we talked about Ritam being concealed. Concealed by what? Concealed by forces, concealed by entities, which was not understood. But like that high consciousness, that is called supramental truth. That supreme truth also has to manifest, isn't it? That is important. No, if it is not manifest, it is the work is incomplete. The avatar has to descend, isn't it? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. So for that, a ground has to be created for the avatar to descend. So like that, this force is operating, this force of the Divine Mother, she's mediating between these three. The life of truth. The supramental is on the topmost, and the creation of the truth. Means, you see, the first thing we talked about what? We talked about ascending, isn't it? Ascending of the consciousness, raising of the consciousness. So if raising of the consciousness alone was everything, then there was no need for doing any activity also, isn't it? If raising of consciousness is there, so I will sit, meditate, go into that high state of consciousness and then leave everything, no? Get disconnected from the world. But that is where it is just one portion. It is just one portion of the sadhana is the ascent. Why do all the yogis go, even if you see the Nath Sampradaya, Alak Niranjan, they're talking about that transcendental Mahashakti only when they say that. But then after achieving siddhis, after realizing things, why are they coming to villages? Why are they talking to people? Why are they giving margadarshan? Shouldn't they go into that light and disappear into it? Because the work is not complete. Krishna also talked about it. He said, Loka Sangraha, betterment of the world, transformation of the world. And how will that happen? When that consciousness that is reached, that has to descend and bring about change. Just it is not about, Sherwin also talks about, it is not about what we can say an individual salvation that we are seeking. When we say Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, it is actually one way you can call it a Swarthi prayer, and it's also Niswarthi. Swarthi because see, when will I be happy when my sister is happy? If my sister is unwell, will I be happy? Not possible. So for me to become happy, let the world become happy, isn't it? That is where my journey will complete, when there is Ananda everywhere. And that is what the yogis also aspired for bringing about that descent. And this individual Mahashakti which we are looking about, she is bringing that. She's intermediate, she's becoming mediating between these. It's like a tug of war, this one tendency of going into that consciousness merging, but there's another side descent taking place. So this movement up vertical, upward movement and downward movement is something which is very important. That is why we see about so many vibhutis mentioned, no, in the divine, in the Gita. Because what are the vibhutis? Vibhutis are the representations of the divine on earth. The purpose of these vibhutis is again to transform the consciousness. We are not meant to live in suffering. Suffering is because of an untransformed, what we can say, raw consciousness which has not yet ripened, which has to become better. And that is where the role of, that is why the operating principle of the divine is important. Because you see, in our life, when will our life be fulfilled? When we manifest that consciousness. Otherwise, we will be trapped. We'll be trapped in Maya. Prakriti does not mean nature only. People say Prakriti means nature. But nature is also unconscious in some places. Go into a jungle for centuries, the jungle's terrain will not change, isn't it? Sometimes now we still have some tribes who are living 500 years behind us. Why? They are in company of nature. For us, nature is everything. But no, there is something called Chetana also. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chetane Chati Bhiyate Namastasya 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 Namo Namah. That is the consciousness of the divine. So that is why the individual Mahashakti is also the third one which is to be approached. Without this Mahashakti's individual aspect, there will be no manifestation also. The Devi Mahatmya is all about different individual aspects of the Devi, isn't it? Like I said, Chetana is one thing. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita, Shanti Rupena Samstita, Smriti Rupena Samstita. You will just keep looking at it. Why? Because these are qualities which manifest. Why do we need an individual? People say, I am, your God is having form. What is the use? I am made of form. I can relate to a form better. If I don't, I will not be able to. You give me a symbol, I will not be able to talk to that symbol that way, how much I can talk to a form, because at least it's more relatable to me. I can have what we can say a dialogue. I can understand, I can grow. So again, this is the third aspect, the individual aspect, and the individual aspect is what is closest. And that is what we are going to be looking at. Because the individual Mahashakti is going to be our connection. Means you see, if we want to look at the four powers, they are the individual aspects of the Supreme Shakti only, isn't it? They're not different people or different entities or different devis. Yes, they are different forms, different powers. If you look at even Rigveda, you will see some gods becoming some other gods. So when those people who create classification, they start scratching their heads and just close the books because they don't understand how to create that. Because one god, how can one god become another god? Because these are powers which are manifesting. You understand. I cannot understand divine, but I can see divine bravery in somebody. I can say, wow, this was supreme. I recognize this. Why I gave a quote of Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivaji. Shivaji Maharaj was considered to be an avatar only, according to the even Maharashtra considers him a Daivat only, because he's reached that he was responsible. It was impossible for a young boy to even dream of setting up a Swaraj. Then he's surrounded by Siddhis, Adil Shahs on one side, Topikars on other sides, the other Mughal emperors there. His father himself is not free. And here is one boy with a bunch of youngsters who are not even 18. They are dreaming of setting up an empire and that too trying to break the dominance of one very Asuri force. How is it possible? Well, he connected with that higher force, and he would, for him it was so individual that it was said that he received the sword directly from the Devi. Bhavani Ma gave him the sword. How much of this was legend, how much of it was exact, we do not know, but this much we know because of him, because of this individual power of Mahashakti. So many warriors, Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivaji, they would go to, one person would go to, fight under against 50, 60, 70, 80 without any fear. Fear factor would disappear from their hearts. As if suddenly inside of them the energy has come. What is this? It was a divine energy, and it was divine because if you look at the material ground situation, it looked impossible. It looked impossible for the culture of Maharashtra to even continue at that particular time. The very even now, everybody would be surprised if you see how there's a state. That time it didn't look like it would happen. So in different parts, different places. Guru Gobind Singh also, what is it? He says, I will make my चिड़िया दे नाल बाज लड़ावा सवा लाख दे एक लड़ावा. What was that? That force of this. He said, then only you can say you are the Shishya of Guru Gobind Singh when my bird will go and try to fight a falcon. So this aspect of the Shakti on the individual root. Now we are talking about one rasa or Shaurya rasa or the bravery which we are talking about. But all of these are individual aspects which we can connect. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena is also there. Nidra Rupena is also there. How can Nidra be goddess? Go into Nidra state like a meditative silence, you will experience what is the Turiya of Mandukya Upanishad. Shankaracharya said Nidra Samadhi Sthiti. When you go to sleep, you can even experience the state of Samadhi if you are consciously sleeping as well. So this individual is what we are going to be looking at, because we are going to now try. This workshop is about trying to get our own individual connection with these four powers. So Sri Aurobindo identified four powers of the individual Mahashakti. Three approaches have been told, but the powers are four. One,
Sorry to
yes,
disturb. Am I right if I say that there is something called Kshuddha Rupena also?
yes, absolutely.
To the other thirst, or
Yes,
is
yes,
it thirst? Yeah.
yes.
What does it imply according to
Thirst
what
is
we are
the
discussing?
asa, no? The thirst of what?
Aspiration? Or,
Thirst. Yes, thirst to know,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
thirst to grow, the thirst to realize.
Yes.
It is like that realization, that thirst comes in, then only then the person will go. No, otherwise, I'm not seeking only. Then I will never receive. So that is also sometimes it is said he who chooses the divine is also chosen by the divine. That is also the choice is also by the divine grace. But now, if we look at the four, we will just get introduced to the four. And what we will do is from next week when we study, we will look at one force, one power out of one at a time. And I think what we can do is once we will look at what I have just rendered it into poetry, and we have made some tools. I mean, using some tools, we have made some images of each of these devis. We will try to meditate on that and then try to see how we can relate. That would be our aspect. The screen is frozen. I'm not sure if you're able to hear me. Is everybody able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think yes. I do not know. Maybe I extended the time, so I think that is Divine's
Yes, sir,
indication.
we
Okay,
can
I have
hear you.
crossed the time. So all right, you're able to hear me. Ji sir. All right. So these are the we have four. One is Maheshwari. The other one is Mahakali. The other is Mahalakshmi.
Saraswati.
And there is Mahasaraswati. So we have just introduced the four names right now. One by one, will not say we'll take on. We can't take on the forces, but we'll try to connect with or try to understand each of them. Starting with Maheshwari, that would be on the Tuesday next week. So with this, I think we can conclude. If somebody can summarize something that we have seen today, with that, we'll then conclude with the Shanti Mantra after that. Anybody, if you could be kind enough to share something about what we saw today. Raghunandan ji, you're speaking something. I'm unable to hear you, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So there are these, we said there are four muktis. One was nearness to divine,
Hmm.
familiarity with divine, similarity in appearances, and merger with the divine. So that is the first topic we had. Then we moved into Prakriti and we tried to understand what is Prakriti. And we said that It is nothing but Divine Mother in brief. Look at, then we said it is a Prakriti which is manifestation of everything. And then we said there is something called Maya which is present. And Maya can be pierced and we can go beyond Maya only with the help of Prakriti,
With the help
the
of divine grace. Divine grace.
divine grace. Then we said there is a Purusha and a Prakriti. And how
Yeah.
do they two both relate to each other? Are they the same? Are they the different? And then we said there are different ways of looking at them, and one of my way of looking was they're just the reflection of each other. But going
Yeah.
forward, there is more to it also. Purusha is in Ananda state always, he's in bliss. It is the Prakriti which does all the action. So, for any action, we have to reach Prakriti.
Prakriti.
And in Gita, Sri Krishna also says that Prakriti is the only way to go forward because that's where you will get the action and that's where the your surrender
Yeah.
has to be to begin with. Then we said, how do we reach Prakriti? And then we said there are three forms. One is the transcendental
Three
consciousness.
approaches. Three
Approaches.
approaches. Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, the three
No
approaches. One
problem.
is the
Yes, sir.
transcendental consciousness, which is the highest level, which is one of the most challenging and not that easy like what we common people can go through. But there are people who have approached it and have achieved that stage. Second is the universal format where which is closer to us and much easier for us to approach. And finally is the individual Shakti, which is there and which is really helping the individual consciousness to first go deep into itself, identify itself, and move up to ascent. The ascent process it helps, and also it helps the descent process to take place. Then we
Yeah.
said, what are the four powers of the individual Shakti? Maheshwari, Kali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati.
Yes. Yes, sir. Absolutely. That was a beautiful summary, sir. Thank you, sir. Anybody would like to add anything more to what sir has said? I think no, it's covered everything. So yes, we conclude with the Shanti mantra. All right. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम. So Punar Milama, we will see next week. Again, this group is yours, so you please feel free to, if you wish to share your insights, if your notes, something you want to interact as well, please feel free to use this group. It will be active during the course of our workshop, after which it will become inactive. So let us try to use that as well. So all right, then see you next week. Namaskaram. If there are no queries, I end the session. All right.